A lot of folks have been asking for a tutorial on extended instruments, bottom notes. In this video, we're finally going to explore how to add bass notes to your patterns. I'm exploring a pattern called Stillness, which I wrote for Handpan this year, so you can find it there as well if you want a more detailed breakdown of that pattern. But I'll give you a quick demo of what it looks like now, and then we'll move straight in to adding those bottom notes. Thank you especially to Vera for asking for these tutorials. More of these to come as well if you enjoy them. Please do let me know. All right, so ta-da! The pattern looks like this. If you want a detailed breakdown on how that goes, you can check it out in the link in the description below. For now, let's move straight on to how to add some additional notes. I'm going to start only with two bottom notes here on my left and right side. In my case, and yours might be different, I've got a G on this side, a G3, and an F on this side. If you don't already know what you've got, it's really worth checking with the maker of your instrument or asking a friend to help you, or if you already know how to kind of hear notes on a piano or whatever, working out what your layout is. That's not something I can teach you here because everyone's bottom layout is completely different. There are some standard layouts, and F and G is quite common here, so it's quite likely that you have an F and G under here as well. You might have yours switched around, but in my case, I've got a G on my left and an F on my right. So when deciding how to utilize these bottom notes, I need to make some decisions about what I want my chords to be and what I want them to sound like. In the very beginning, we have this shape. Let me change angle so you can see. Which already utilizes the ding. We're already implying that we're going to be in D minor because we're starting with a ding here. In fact, we use the ding all the way through. So I could decide to replace my ding sound with a ding from the bottom, or I could decide to bring the bottom into one of the chords themselves. Let me show you what I mean by that. Here's one idea. How did I get to that conclusion? Well, the first chord is kind of it's a D5. It's implying a D minor. I've got a D and an A. The second chord is B flat and D. So we're implying a D flat major chord. If I were to play the whole thing, I'd play these three notes here. Now this note is an F, and I know, because I know the layout of my instrument, that I have a lower F under here. So I could replace this ding sound with a low F instead to bring the element of that chord in the beginning. Here comes the F. Right? And the same with this one. These two notes are implying a C major, at least in my opinion. We've only got two of the notes. It could be an A minor, or it could be a C major. Depending on which other notes we bring into it. I like the C major feel, so that C major chord has got C, E, and G in it. I know, because I know the layout of my scale, that I've got a low G under here. So I might add that G instead of the ding to, again, imply the rest of that chord. Now, my handpan has got another big old note here, which is a C. So I could instead choose to use the C of the C major chord. Let's hear what that would sound like in this context. like that actually. Yeah, so that's using ding, F, and C in my case. You could also, if you've got an E under your instrument, you could choose the E instead of this C major chord. I don't have an E, so I can't show you that. And as well, if you happen to have a low B flat, instead of choosing this F, you could go even lower and use a B flat instead. It all depends what you've got on the bottom of your instrument. Now, I made a choice here about turning this into a B flat major chord. However, these two notes could also be implying a G minor chord. If I were to play just a different note on top there, just like here, we could either have A minor or C. Both of those chords have got these two notes in it. These two notes exist both in the B flat major chord and in the G minor chord. So instead of bringing this F in, or the low version that I've got underneath, I could instead bring the G in, or the low version that I've got underneath. Especially if, to create this bass line, I've already got that differentiation, because now I'm going for the C under here, right? So instead I could choose this. So now I've got D minor, G minor, oops, back to D minor, right? So you can see there that I've made some decisions based on what I think the chords might be, because there are only two note chords in this case of this pattern. I've chosen the bottom notes that help to fill out that chord. If you're playing a pattern that's already got all three notes, you can work out what chord that is, and if you've got any of the notes underneath that exist within that chord, you can choose those bass notes. You can also go outside of the chord if you want to create some really interesting suspended chords or seventh chords or whatever you want. But let's keep it simple for now. So that's replacing the ding with a bottom note to create a bass line. We could also, if we play these chords here, one-handed, we could then instead add the bottom note at the same time as the chord and keep the ding so that we can keep that kind of continuous groove throughout. Let me show you what that looks like. What about with the G and C underneath? So in this case, really, especially with bottom notes, because they are all different depending on what handpan and what version of the extension you've got, bottom notes are all in different places, and so my opinion is that you can take any pattern that you learn or any pattern that you write and really make it your own by choosing which bottom notes you use to create those interesting and more full, complex chordal sounds. So my challenge for you is to take this pattern and try all of the versions that I showed you here on the D kurd, if that's what you've got. And then once you've got the idea and the kind of the techniques there and the concepts, find another pattern. Maybe it's one of the Handpan patterns or another tutorial. Maybe it's something you already know how to play. And see what notes are being played within the chord or the melody, and then see if you can build on that by introducing, I play an F on top here, and I know I've got an F on bottom, so I'm going to play the F on the bottom instead, and all that kind of thing. Get creative with it, make it your own, because all of our handpans, all of our extensions are completely unique. The beauty of that is that you can then create your own completely unique versions and variations of the things you learn online. So good luck, move slow, and yeah, I'll see you in another video.